better if you don't do that. It could be unsafe because
this is about January 6th.
Because it takes one guy with bad intentions. Okay. So I didn't have a dispute with them. You had that one person said, I grabbed the man around the neck. Actually, I wish I was so strong to be able to do that. These are all tough guys, smart guys.
Dispute that account.
Dispute it? Who wouldn't dispute it? She's the craziest account I've ever heard. You mean that I was in the Beast, and she said I was in the Beast, and the Secret Service didn't win. So I took a guy who was like a black belt in karate and grabbed his neck and tried to choke him.
What happened?
How ridiculous. Just so you understand. And I have great respect for Secret Service, by the way. They're fantastic. The Secret Service said, sir, it would be better if you did. And I said, I'd love to do it. They said it would be better. And so we went back to the White House. Just so you understand, I spoke. I made a very nice speech. I wasn't Maxine Waters that calls for people's death and some of these. Take a look at what these other people say.
What happened when you got to the White House, though? Where did you watch?
That's all she kept asking.
I offered 2 days before.
This is at
10,000 soldiers.
51 minutes into it.
Because
tell me how you watched this all unfold. Were you in the dining room watching TV?
I'm not going to tell you. I'll tell the people later at an appropriate time. Just so you understand, however.
What did you do when the Capitol was under attack?
He's dealt with this for 53 minutes.
Statements I made in the Oval Office and just outside of the Oval Office.
Absolutely. I was there that day.
Our police are great. We love our police. We love to look at it. I'd look at that, and I'd look at all the other people that have suffered, the J6 people.
Mr. President, let me ask you one final question, then let's move on to foreign policy.
That didn't even go into the building have suffered gravely. And you have to say one system of justice, right? You take a look at what's gone on in Portland. They burned down the city. The city is in shambles to this day. The store owners don't even rebuild storefronts anymore. They put up 2x4s.
I want to move on to foreign policy, Mr. President.
But why do you do that? Why do you give me a horrible question and then you don't let me answer it? You're off to a bad start, I'm telling you.
Mr. President, I want to make sure we get to talk about foreign policy as well.
But I don't mind. I have all the time in the world.
You do? Okay.
I have all the time in the world. Why is it that the people, Antifa people, and very bad people that burned down Portland, burned down Minneapolis, burned down so much, New York City, what they did in New York City, and they were barely charged. And yet the people in Washington, in some cases, never even went into the building. They've been persecuted. They've been persecuted.
The people who were charged in January 6th, some of them were charged with sedition. Some of them were charged for violating the Capitol.
But many of these people have been persecuted, what they've done to them. And they didn't do this to the people that burned down. You take a look at Portland. It's like a burned down hulk of a city, including the federal courthouse. I said, here's the story. These people are thugs, horrible people, fascists, Marxists, sick people. They've been after me from the day I came down the escalator with Melania. And I did a great job as president. People are acknowledged. Great economy, great jobs, great this, great that. Rebuilt the military, Space Force, everything. I could go on forever. So let me just tell you. I said the last thing I'd ever do is give myself a pardon. I could have given myself a pardon. Don't ask me about what I would do. I could have, the last day, I could have had a pardon done that would have saved me all of these lawyers and all of these fake charges, these Biden indictments. They're all Biden indictments, political. They indicted. They want to arrest their political opponents. Only third world countries do that. Banana.
Big picture, get a sense of how you see this conflict. Do you see the security of Ukraine as critical to the security of the United States?
Okay, let me talk about it without interruption. Ukraine would have never happened if I were president. If this election weren't rigged, Ukraine would have never happened. You would have hundreds of thousands of people, including lots of soldiers, still living. The cities would be flourishing or at least up. These are cities that can never be rebuilt again, certainly not the way they were. Magnificent buildings, all ripped down like a demolition site. It would have never happened for two reasons. Number one, and most importantly, Putin has a lot of respect for me. And he wouldn't have played games. And I told him, don't ever go in. And he would never have gone in. This was only after I left that this happened.
I believe that.
President Xi would never, ever be talking about Taiwan the way he's talking about it right now. And equally as importantly, oil prices would have been at $40 a barrel instead of $110 a barrel. So he wouldn't have been able to afford going in. He actually is the only nation that made money because oil has been driven up so high by stupid people like Biden. Biden is an incompetent man. And what happened is oil. In fact, you're going to hit a new high very soon again. That means Russia. Russia makes money from oil. Russia is going to make a lot of money. And because they're making a lot of money, there's no reason for them to settle other than humanitarian reasons. And let's not assume people are going to be so humanitarian. So Putin would have never gone in because oil was at $40 a barrel. And he wouldn't have been able to afford to have gone in. At $100 a barrel, he made a fortune. And that's one reason. The other reason he wouldn't have gone in is because I said, don't go in. Don't even think about it. Bills. And I got him to pay. You know, they asked me something, which hasn't been reported, but the media knows it. We had a meeting of the 28 countries, at that time, 28 countries. And they said to me, are you saying, sir, because I said you got to pay your bills, are you saying, sir, that you won't protect us against Russia if we don't pay? I said, sorry to tell you, that's what I'm saying. You know what happened?
Yeah.
They started sending us money and I was never given credit for it, but you wouldn't even have a NATO if it wasn't for me.
Let me ask you.
But here's the thing.
About
the
your
European
strategy.
countries have to start paying their share because we are having to do with Ukraine. Because we're at 200 billion and they're at 20 or 25 billion. It's so unfair.
Let me ask you about your strategy, though, because you have said you want to end this war in 24 hours. You saw the meeting between Kim Jong-un and President Putin.
Right.
Do you think that complicates your strategy if you were reelected to try to end this war in 24 hours?
It would have been easier if the war didn't start.